Jalen Rose.
What up, doe?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Together with Jalen Jacoby, what is it that we do?
Gotta give them what they want.
Huh?
Gotta give them what they need. Hey!
Welcome to Jalen Jacoby, Jalen Rose. Last night, there was a good game between the Lakers and the Suns. It was closer than the final score shows, but the Lakers ended up on top because of some good games from LeBron James and AD, as expected, 24 and 19. But your guy, Kyle Kuzma, had some big threes in the fourth quarter to give them the victory, like this one right here. They are 8-2, playing well. Are they exceeding your expectations?
No, they're trending in the direction I thought they would, even this early in the season. I promise you, the basketball has kinetic energy.
Explain.
Everybody gets an opportunity to touch it. All of a sudden, everybody feels like they want to master their role. I don't care if it's a player that's not known for scoring. You let them touch the ball, you let them feel involved, and all of a sudden, they're going to set screens, they're going to rebound. That's what I'm seeing with the Lakers. A season high, 33 assists. LeBron James, one of the league leaders in assists, 7 games, 10 plus, dropping dimes. So now all of a sudden, give up a good shot, get a great shot to Kuzma in the corner for that knockdown three. Anthony Davis making three-point shots. So the Lakers continuing to share the ball, I think, is a big-time catalyst to their success along with their stout defense.
I love LeBron James. And that's one of the reasons I love him, because of this energy that you talk about. He shares the ball. He shares the star spotlight in a way that someone like James Harden does not. But you mentioned Anthony Davis. And last time we spoke to Anthony Davis, he was saying that his shoulder hurts. And we were talking about whether or not the Lakers should rest him. And when you watch this game, he was noticeably grimacing and wincing on some plays. He had his ribs looked at, his shoulder looked at. At some point, don't you feel like they're going to shut him down for a few games?
I do, and a couple of things. Anthony Davis is a terrific talent, clearly. But one thing about being in New Orleans and being the guy, it not only took a toll on him emotionally because they could never get to his goals as a team, but it took a toll on him physically as the best player. And so now you hope coming to Los Angeles, when he does miss those games, because he has been a player that's dealt with nagging injuries his entire career. That's why you got LeBron James. That's why you got Kyle Kuzma.
Exactly.
That's why you got JaVale
Not as
McGee.
much as asked of him in Los Angeles as it was in New Orleans.
Yes.
Like he
So
had to be everything there.
It's different when you are the guy versus the guy next to the guy.
Yeah, and he's also got other bigs with him, and he had Boogie Cousins with him for a while, but like he's got Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee. Like there's other people that can rim protect, so he doesn't have to do everything on both ends of the floor. Now there's good news for Lakers. There's also some really good news for the Clippers. Paul George is back. Because you remember when Kawhi and Paul George both signed, you remember the shockwaves that sent through the basketball world at 4 in the morning or whatever?
Correct.
Like, it was too late. But I remember being like, wow, Kawhi and Paul together. I didn't expect it would take 11, 12 games into the season for it to happen. But what does the return of Paul George mean for the Clippers?
Lockdown defense. The ability to switch everything on the perimeter. 2 guys, one was the finals MVP and won the championship in Toronto and Kawhi.
Yep.
The other one in Paul George, who was top 3 in the MVP conversation in Oklahoma City, joined the Clippers as a team that already made the playoffs without them.
Yeah.
It still has Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell balling off the bench, putting up big numbers. Shamet can knock down threes. We know Patrick Beverley can play D. This is now where you get a chance to see who the Clippers really are and who they anticipate, we all anticipate them being.
And there's so much discussion of duos in the NBA, and what I like to do is evaluate how complementary they are to each other. Like, I feel like if eventually Luka and KP really complement each other well. I feel like LeBron James and AD complement each other the best of any duo. From an X's and O's standpoint, Paul George and Kawhi would be guarding each other most likely if they were on opposite teams. Do you think they'll be redundant? From an XO standpoint, how does this duo work?
So I'm going to give you where they're the most complementary of any of the duos you just mentioned.
I disagree. I'd love to hear this.
You ready for this? The way Luka and KP complement each other, the way LeBron and AD complement each other, and feel free to steal these points, anybody in the media or anybody watching this show. People always anticipate that being offensively. Defensively, these two complement each other more than anybody.
That's fair.
Okay, imagine having either one of these guys always amongst the league leaders in steals. They don't do a lot of gambling. They can guard whoever And a lot of times when they're up on you, those long arms, Kawhi's big hands, when they get the ball, they're going the other way. So these guys are going to be able to turn defense into offense better than any duo in the league, and it's going to be fascinating to watch.
And one thing that I'm going to disagree with you, but then also just add to it, like they can't guard whoever. They basically can really guard 2, 3, 4 very well, but you've got Pat Beverly on the team and Montrezl Harrell, who I think will end up finishing games over Zubac. Like that defensively is a very good team.
Switch everything.
It really is.
Switch everything.
You know who's really hard to guard? Trae Young. Trae Young, he has surprised me. What he did last night against the Nuggets was fantastic. He had 42 points and 11 assists. His third straight game, he just went between his legs.
Don't do my guy Will
He just
Barton
went between his legs, and then he was chirping at everybody.
Oh,
Look at that,
with the
between legs.
nutmeg.
3 straight games, 30 and 10. He's exceeded my oh God, I could watch that a million times in a row. That's a tough shot too. To gather like that with the momentum, and he was looking at the other team. I love Ice Trae. He's done better than I thought he would. If you expect this from Trae Young.
I can't say I'm surprised. I remember when he came on Get Up and following him in college, I couldn't help but do a parallel between he and Steph Curry. And the only difference between he and Steph Curry, to be honest with you, the guy that's been in a unanimous MVP and a 3-time champion, Trae Young, better playmaker.
Better playmaker. I say he can't finish at the rim the same way Steph can. Steph's really developed that over the course of his year, but
Correct.
He's definitely a better playmaker
so
for his teammates.
if you look at their body types, of course, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to want to compare them. And then all of a sudden you see they both have unlimited range. And then you just did a great distinction. Steph going to the basket, jumping off of both feet, finishing with both hands. Only he and Kyrie are in that category.
Yeah.
And then for Trae, the playmaking 11 assist category, that's going to be amongst the league leaders. That's really impressive for a young player.
So, Jalen, you know what I love about basketball. I love sauce. I love sauce. I love it when you put it between someone's legs. I love the behind-the-back passes. I love embarrassing your defender, and Trae Young does that. And that's what I'll show up for. Like, you can show me Kawhi Leonard all day. He's a very effective scorer. He's a great defender.
You
know what I mean?
Always hating on the Spurs.
He's efficient. It's like, I get that. But Trae Young has sauce. And in this game, another thing I love, trash talk. He said that he was getting chirped at by the bench. He was getting chirped at by the fans. And when you are in the game, can that backfire? Like, can that end up motivating somebody where they perform better?
It works both ways. It could be water on the flame or gasoline, depending on if the guy get going. And he just struggled in the previous game. And so all of a sudden people start chirping at you and you start feeling good about your game.
Yep.
Those 2 threes become 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 8 of 13 on a roll in a big-time victory, by the way. That's
a good Nuggets team.
Road win for the Atlanta Hawks.
And another thing I'm surprised by, when John Collins went down, like, he's an important piece of what they do on both ends of the floor. When he went down, I thought that the Hawks would kind of take a bigger step back than they have. They've done a really good job.
I'm going to keep stressing this. The 11 assists. I always pay attention to primary ball handlers that go north and south that still have the ability to make people around them better.
Yeah.
And he continues to do that, and that's really impressive.
I'll keep stressing this. He's got sauce. I love it. I love it. I'll watch 3 Trae Young games over 10 Kawhi Leonard games. I really would. I really would.
Why?
I really would.
So why has Kawhi become the poster child?
Because he's a basketball robot. Do you know what I mean? Like, when was the last time he went behind the back? Like, just dribbling. Like, he's a great player, maybe top 3 in the league easily, but he just doesn't give me the highlights.
We know
I like.
exactly what you mean,
yeah,
sir.
You know what I mean.
From the East Coast, you're like that Rucker Park fluff.
Exactly. It is now time for News That Matters. Jalen, I'm about to show you something disturbing. We should put like a parental advisory on the screen right now. What you are about to see, you are not going to be able to unsee. I'm going to take you down a dark path. I'm warning you ahead of time to prepare yourself emotionally for this. You fly a lot. Have you ever seen something like this? This image right here. This woman is on a plane. And dude behind her with the dirty feet took his shoes and socks off and put them on her headrest. Jalen, your initial response.
My initial response is he should have house arrest, 30 days. I'm serious about things like this. Seriously joking, by the way. That's so rude. It's so disrespectful. I don't care if his feet were clean. I don't care how they smell. That is not your personal space. That is someone else's chair. And here's the other thing I want to say. She needs to tell him to get his feet down.
Oh, yeah. Also, even if you have shoes and socks on, brand new shoes and socks,
Correct.
don't put your feet on my head, bro.
That's just
especially
rude.
without your shoes. Like, what are you doing? Here's the thing. We need to launch an investigation.
Yes.
Like, this person needs to be found.
Yes.
And they need to have their privileges revoked.
Yes.
You can
Yes.
take the bus. You can no longer take planes.
So this woman, first off, is a lady. Because she clearly didn't confront this person.
Oh, no, she took the picture and then confronted.
You think so?
She took the picture and then confronted.
Oh, I hope so.
That has to have happened.
But here's the thing I want to express to you. I know the flight attendants have a lot of jobs on the plane. Do you think that's something that they should legislate
Yes.
for her?
Yes, I'm glad you thought this way, because if she does not confront that person, which I'm almost positive, like, you have to be such a docile person to not confront someone who's disrespecting
Or
you
somebody
in
that don't
that
want to
way.
sit up in their chair.
Yeah,
You can't
I
even
mean-
sit all the way up.
This person needs to be found.
You know what?
If anyone knows who this person is,
Yes.
we can find out. If you know who the person is that posted the photo, we can go back in the flight records. We can
Correct.
find out who sat behind
We're
her.
doing an investigation.
We need to launch an investigation
agree.
and correct this wrong.
So I got to ask you another follow-up question. I know you hate it.
No, I don't like follow-up questions.
Okay.
Gary. Why are you doing this?
This is 1,000% cultural. Those are the same people that are driving down the street, driving down the road, or on the freeway, sticking their feet out the window.
Have you ever put your feet out the window barefoot?
Never.
Feels great.
See?
Feels great.
See?
Open up the toes. Open up the toes. Well, guess what? We've got proof that this is not cultural. Our producer, Demetrius, he takes his shoes off for every flight. Me too. I take my shoes off for every single flight.
Well, a couple of things. First off, that's not the same because he's wearing socks.
He got socks on.
Number one. So that ain't the same.
He's got socks.
Number two, they are not up on somebody's headrest.
Also, Demetrius, put your stuff in the overhead, my guy.
Right.
Yeah, you got, I know you ain't that tall, but you need some leg room.
Right.
For real. Come on now.
And we got to get you some Pumas.
Jalen Rose. Something happened. The number one team, the freshly anointed number one team in college basketball, they lost yesterday. We'll show you the big upset right after. Coming to you live from Pier 17 in the South Street Seaport and brought to you by Delicious Heinekens. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, just yesterday we were talking about Kentucky being a young number one team, and you were talking about being in a young college basketball team with high expectations and what comes with that. Well, they're not going to be number one for long because last night they were beaten by the Evansville Purple Aces. Long live the Purple Aces of Evansville. Jalen, my question for you is this. If I'm John Calipari, I'm not too mad at this. I think getting upset early in the season like this can actually help you long term.
I think it helps long term. I have to give a shout out to somebody I played against in college and in the league. Former Kentucky assistant in my best Tommy Heinsohn voice, Walter McCarthy. He did a great job of having those guys ready. And for those Midwesterners like myself, Indiana and Kentucky have a basketball rivalry.
Yep.
Okay, and for somebody that lived in Indiana for 6 years, in 49 states, it's just basketball. It's everything in Indiana. You ride down the street, everybody has a basketball hoop. Same in Kentucky. So those kids that play for that team understand the magnitude of, wow, we're going against Kentucky, playing on the big stage. And by the way, this wasn't like a buzzer beater type of win.
It was
They were
close.
No,
but yeah.
They were winning the whole game.
Oh, yeah, and they're outplaying them the whole game and out hustling them the whole
Correct.
game.
It wasn't like, oh, they just had a big time run and won the game. Like, they was beating them the whole game. So it was a terrific road win, and I want to give the Aces credit.
Here's the thing. What I love about that, sometimes you're playing the number one team in the country and you might be a little scared. You know what I mean? But they're playing the number one team in the country. They saw it as an opportunity, and that's the difference. And big shout to Walter for getting them ready to play. Jalen, I felt bad for James Wiseman last night. There was so much focus on him. He became a national story that was about court cases and eligibility and the NCAA and amateurism, and He played last night in a game on national TV on our air against 2 ranked teams, and at the start of the game, he got into foul trouble. So what ends up happening is he starts the game looking offensive foul there, and then he gets a little foul trouble.
But that's a terrible call.
But he just didn't even score in the first half, and I started to be like, oh man, maybe all this pressure's getting to him. But he turned around the second half. He looked pretty good. Memphis did not win, but what did you think about Wiseman last night?
The one thing I could continue to state about Wiseman, how the University of Memphis and their head coach, Penny Hardaway, are doing the unthinkable, and that's thumbing their nose at the NCAA. Mm-hmm. Usually when somebody's under investigation, outwardly, you sit the player.
Yep.
They're doing the exact opposite. We're going to play him. Regardless of what you guys' findings are, we'll deal with that then. And as I think back at the landscape of collegiate basketball, a lot of times it happens in reverse, where UMass is under investigation and all of a sudden they take the banners down later.
Yep.
Or it happened to Cal at Memphis, and then you take the banners down later. They're concurrently doing it, understanding that if the findings happen, that these games are basically going to be ruled ineligible.
There was a restraining order, put out by a judge who happened to go to Memphis Law School, and there'll be a hearing soon about it, so we'll kind of definitively know whether he's going to play. But there was some thinking that maybe he shouldn't play. And my thing is this: you might not win in court, but when you play him and he plays like that and he shows that potential, you will win in the court of public opinion. Because that's the way the wind is blowing right now with the NCAA and eligibility and amateurism. The court of public opinion voice is so loud that if he is then deemed ineligible to play and we get to see this young man and understand what a great kid he is, you're going to lose that battle every time.
Correct. And also, for a Memphis team under Penny Hardaway in his second year with the squad that's trying to actually build a program to one of the elite ones in the country, you have to show your players that you're going to stick behind them 110%.
Yep.
And this move demonstrates that more than he could ever speak it.
And I think one thing that's important that people may not know is Wiseman isn't their only good recruit. They've got 5 top 100 recruits. Like, they're bringing in a full freshman class. Do you know anything about being on a freshman class with a bunch of high recruits? I mean, I'm not going to compare them to the Fab Five, but this is not a James Wiseman one recruit team. They also have one of those recruits by the name of Lester Quinones. Why does he stand out to me on the basketball court?
I'm rooting for this young man.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, Penny's my guy, so I'm going to try to get him on the show. But I was watching their squad ball, and I was talking about the NCAA and how the rules were so unfair, and I couldn't help but notice those shorts.
I mean, there's so much dye out there. I haven't seen that much dye meat since last Thanksgiving.
And the music does match.
It really does.
Okay? If you haven't seen it, young people, just Google John Stockton shorts.
I know. Here's the thing.
I swear he missed the layup, like you said, because he couldn't flex. He couldn't stretch out.
He couldn't. Here's the thing. Lester, I know you're trying to be innovative. And Jalen Rose, you're someone who likes to be innovative with fashion. You're famous for wearing black socks that people probably clowned you for. You're famous for the big baggy shorts. Lester, let me go the other way. Maybe Lester's just doing what you did in a different way. We clown Lester now, but maybe everyone's going to wear their shorts like this in the future.
No, they won't. No, they will not. Because once you fall down, the cameras are going to be shooting all up under your shorts.
I'm very familiar with Lester's thigh meat at this point. I just want to say this we're going to continue to track this as the season goes on. Lester saw us talking about him yesterday. He did. Do you think in his head he will ever just kind of let him go a little longer?
Here, Lester, here's how you shut us up. 30. That's all you got to do.
30.
That's what you do for your critics.
30.
We love you. We're rooting for Penny. We're rooting for Wiseman. It is all love. We got to get him on the show as well.
I'm gonna say something I'll regret. He scores 30. I'll wear some short shorts.
There we go on the show.
Yeah.
Yes. Lester. I need you to score 30, Lester.
You score 30.
Give me 30,
I'll wear some
Lester.
short shorts. You score 30, Lester. I will wear some short shorts
on the show.
Yeah, just for the end of a segment. I ain't gonna do it for the whole show.
No, for the whole show.
I didn't shake anybody's hand. I said the terms. I don't see a handshake. This is being recorded. I said the terms. For just a short 10-second thing
For
at the end of it.
For a segment. One segment.
For a segment.
For a segment. Segments are usually like 5 to 10
You know
minutes.
what, Lester? I'm rooting for you, my guy. I'm rooting for you.
Of course we are. We're giving him
No,
love
he's
on
on the show every day.
And we root for
Everyone's
him to score 30.
Everybody's talking about Wiseman. We covered his short shorts. We're going to cover Wiseman.
We're the
Who could
only
be the
people
number one pick.
that's talking about him. And now Wiseman.
Shout to
Not
you,
only
Lester.
Wiseman.
New York's own. Jalen, another basketball game last night. It was a big game. Creighton University and
Hail to the victors.
they played Michigan. Who coaches Michigan?
Juwan Howard.
Michigan is on a win streak. A win streak. They beat Creighton 79-69. What do you think of this win? I know you were paying attention.
Absolutely. So I want to make sure I acknowledge something.
What's that?
When the Aces go to Kentucky to win, I was at Michigan's game when they were up 25+ against App State. And App State eventually came back and cut it to single digits and made it close.
Sure.
A nail biter. That's what college basketball is all about, closing the deal. And so going into the next game, when you see Creighton, and Creighton was dealing with a couple of injuries, that could be a tough game. For them to play the way they played and distribute the ball the way they did, knock down three-point shots the way they did, it was really an impressive effort by the Wolverines.
I think it's also worth stating, since we spent so much time talking about Memphis, that Oregon did the same thing. Like, I was watching the end of that game, and I was rooting for Memphis, because we got Quinones with the short shorts and Wiseman. And I was like, hey, guys, cut down to 6, cut it down to 4. And Oregon did a good job fending them off. Jalen, is there a song that you like that related to the Michigan Wolverines?
The fight song.
Is there,
no question
is there a
about
song?
it.
Is there a song that you
I
like?
love when we play that on this show.
Okay.
It makes me really enthusiastic.
Well, you know what?
Yes.
Let's let this song just take us to break. Take us to break. We'll be back. Kaepernick right after this.
Can we come back and be in Ann Arbor and do the show?
I'll be glued to ESPN tonight. Great doubleheader starting at 7:30. The Clippers take on the Rockets. Can't wait for that one. And I'm going to even stay awake for the second one because the Warriors against the Lakers starts at 10 p.m. That's on ESPN as well. And right now, you can listen to the new season of 30 for 30 podcast. The first episode is about Diana Taurasi, one of my favorites, and Sue Bird, and the relationship they had with their Russian team owner who had a mysterious past. Listen to 30 for 30 podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, there's some big news about someone who's been in the news for 3 years, and that is Colin Kaepernick. He will now try out this Saturday for NFL teams looking for his services as a quarterback. But it's not that simple. According to Adam Schefter, he and his representatives were told about this tryout on Saturday, on Tuesday, and then they tried to move it to a Tuesday, when most tryouts are, or a different Saturday to give them more time to prep. And the NFL said, nope, it's going to be this Saturday. What are the ramifications of trying out this Saturday versus a Tuesday or later?
Well, a couple of things. As an athlete, you have an opportunity. The stage is going to present itself, and that's something people like me have been standing on the table hoping that he get the opportunity to even show what we already know, that he deserves an opportunity to be playing quarterback in the NFL. Whether it's a starter or a backup. If you roll the credits of all of the names of people that are on rosters this season getting checks from the NFL to play quarterback, he's better than a large lion's share of those people. So now for this workout to happen unconventional, as you just said, normally it takes place on Tuesday.
Yep.
They want him to do it on Saturday. They wouldn't let him move it to a Tuesday, but so he can have, I guess, a week to get ready.
Well, it's not just about getting ready. It's about who's going to be there to watch you. If you're preparing for a game on Sunday and it's Wednesday, you don't send coaches to this workout that's going to be in Georgia. Like, you're preparing for that game, and you know how single-minded NFL teams and franchises and coaches are about their Sunday games. Like, I think that the audience at this workout will be 1/5 of what it would have been if it was on Tuesday.
But here's what teams should understand. You sign Colin Kaepernick, all of a sudden, this idea that people weren't watching football because he chose to protest, you will see what I've been saying the entire time. There's also a sea change of people who didn't patronize the product because they didn't like the way he was treated. So you now sign him, watch those jersey sales. Watch people start watching your team perform. Watch the interest in your squad is going to go up tenfold just because you gave him an opportunity.
Well, there's also like this straight up athletic standpoint that I want to talk to you about. I'm sure he's working out. I'm sure he's in the gym. I'm sure he's throwing balls. It's been 3 years though. Like, I think if he had this opportunity, 2 years ago, he probably would have been more effective at the job than with this 3-year gap.
For anybody that's paying attention, I'm going to call this the Lamar Jackson effect. Because you saw how Colin Kaepernick was that quarterback, rushing for 200 yards, throwing for 200, rushing for 150. He was that guy that almost took the baton in that right from a Michael Vick and leading his team to a Super Bowl. I was there. It was the one Beyonce performed at, okay? I remember us talking into microphones about him and Russell Wilson possibly creating a rivalry with the 49ers and the Seahawks.
Yep.
Those two teams just played.
I didn't see Kaepernick there.
Jimmy Garoppolo was quarterback in the other team with a $130 million deal. So at some point, I thought he would get an opportunity. I'm glad these workouts are happening. It's unfortunate that I don't believe it's going to have a great turnout, but hopefully he does an amazing job, and I'm rooting for him.
Well, first of all, let's do a little refresher and look at the timeline of kind of like how we got to this workout, because it'll display just how the distance between everything is. In August of 2016, you see he knelt for the anthem. And then 17, he opts out of his contract. October 17, files a grievance. February 19, NFL settles with him. So here we are, so far removed from that initial thing that two things have happened. One, he's not in the news every day like he used to be. So kind of as you mentioned, I don't think there'll be any too much of a negative or positive impact if they sign him. And two, like, I don't think he's going to be as good, and that's what I'm concerned about. And the fact that they rush him into this workout, the fact that it's on a Saturday instead of a Tuesday, makes me feel like this is more of a PR stunt than it is an actual opportunity for Colin Kaepernick to be on an NFL roster.
That's fair. I agree with you. It could be attributed to a PR stunt. But the one thing I've learned about being an athlete is if he does a good job, that's subjective. Won't be any cameras there. We won't know. So that's one person's opinion. There were people that went into the draft last year and felt like there were 4 or 5 people that they were going to draft ahead of Lamar Jackson. Now he's in the MVP conversation. The Giants are looking for possibly a new coach after this year. The Jets, definitely, in my opinion, going to be looking after a new coach at the end of this year. So there's no inexact science here. It's opportunity. And I believe if somebody gave him an opportunity, he could be an effective quarterback. He didn't lose that. He lost the opportunity.
Well, there's word that the Miami Dolphins, I'm sure some other teams will also send reps, but if he ends up on the Dolphins, like, that's not going to give him an opportunity to really show what he can do. You know, that's one thing that also bothers me is if he ends up on a team, like, let's not throw him on the field. You know, like, it's such a sensitive situation. Like, I'm rooting for him to succeed, and I want just a league and a team to sign him and that team to sign him to put him in a position to succeed.
Well, and a lot of this is who signs you. I said this with AB when he left the Raiders. If he would have signed with one of the worst teams in football, people would have criticized him. But since he signed with the Patriots, people felt like, oh, genius move. There go Belichick again.
Yep.
Okay, so to your point, it's one thing if Colin Kaepernick does try to end up signing with a team that's tanking. But what if he signs with a team like the Patriots? People are gonna be like, it's a great move.
Yeah, do you know what I want to see him? Just give him like that like Taysom Hill role. You know, be a backup, work in practice, maybe throw him out there like RG3 on the Ravens, maybe a few plays here and there, and he's in some packages, and then we can find out and evaluate him on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, instead of him playing on Sunday and everyone looking at him. That's one thing I would like to see happen with him. Well, Jalen, we also have this. An NFL Network league insider, Ian Rappaport, is saying that Cam Newton would consider playing
Cam.
for the Chicago Bears.
Of course he will.
Kyle Allen looks like the future in Carolina. He's playing very well. What do you think the future is for Cam and the Panthers?
You just said it. This is one of the worst kept secrets in the industry because we saw how Cam and Carolina seemed to part ways right before our very eyes. And the offense now becomes one that's built around Christian McCaffrey, not around Cam Newton. And then Allen gets behind quarterback.
Looks good.
And he looked really
looked good in that loss in the snow. Like, he did some good things.
So now it's where can we find a landing spot for a guy that's been an MVP, a team doesn't have a satisfactory quarterback that they're proud of, but have a stout defense that could probably be championship level right now. That's the Bears.
Bears, I like it.
I like it a lot.
We'll see. I want to see Cam in a different uniform.
He will be.
I feel like this relationship is broken.
It is.
It's over.
It
like,
is.
You got Kyle Allen, get a new backup, but let's get Cam in a new uniform.
But
when he has
here's
an
the
opportunity.
one thing I want to say. Cam has shown me to be a terrific player and a physical specimen. The Bears play outside. And for somebody that's dealt with the injuries that he dealt with, those hits feel a lot different in that cold, brisk Midwest weather. I just left Detroit. It was 8 degrees and it was 9 inches of snow, and it ain't even Thanksgiving.
That ain't right. It's to quote a great musician, it's so cold in the D. It's so cold in the D. Jalen, there's an injustice going on in our country that you and I need to use our platform to make right. I'll tell you and our audience exactly what that is right after this. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, there's so much going on in the world of sports that we always say we don't force topics. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to decide what we talk about in a segment that we call Keep It Moving. If you want to discuss it, you say hit the brakes. If not, you say keep it moving, and then we keep it moving. Are you ready, Mr. Rose?
To Cal.
Jalen, the top 4 teams in college football were released last night. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
No real surprises. What is today?
Wednesday, sir.
Which means they don't play until
Saturday.
Keep it moving.
We'll keep
now.
it moving.
We keep it moving. We keep it moving.
A former Astros pitcher says that they were cheating.
Wow, hit the brakes.
We'll hit the brakes on this. Ex-Astros pitcher Mike Fiers said to The Athletic that they were using camera to decipher and steal signals of opposing pitchers. Something or nothing.
It is something.
They won the World Series this
Anytime
year.
you cheat. It's something also. Clearly, he didn't leave on good terms with that squad.
Yeah, that's what another indication.
But it makes me kind of wonder, how much do the public really care?
Me, not so much.
They won the World Series. You can't take that back. It's not collegiate basketball
Can't
or
take the banner
football where
down.
you're like
Yeah.
you're taking down the banners, you're taking back the rings. The games were already played. There is something to be said for integrity. And as an athlete, it makes me wonder, how would I feel if I was going against someone that was doing PEDs and was blatantly cheating? I would not like that. I would not respect that player. And that's how I feel about this story. I don't respect that they needed to cheat in order to win the World
Another
Series.
thing is going to be said is like, well, we're launching an investigation. Like, guess what? Tapes are gone. We
same
don't know what happened.
investigation that the NFL
Yeah, exactly.
did
Oh, we're launching an
on the
investigation.
Patriots.
Like, oh, okay, we're launching an investigation. Oh, okay, got it.
That brings up another point that I want to make. The Patriots are going to go down as the greatest dynasty in the history of football based on its longevity. It started with them allegedly cheating.
Allegedly cheating.
Right?
Don't ever accuse the Patriots of that. Jalen,
And how much does the public care?
not anymore. Jacoby Brissett is out. But Jacoby's season is back. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
I got to hit the brakes.
My guy, Jacoby White. Yes, that's right. Jacoby White. His name is Alec Jacoby White. I will never call him Kobe White. He had 7 threes in the 4th quarter, and I watched his game. He was cooking. They weren't all open like that one. And then once a couple of them started to fall, he started just doing everything for this team. Jalen Rose. Am I ever going to call him Kobe again?
You will never call him
Jab
that.
step.
Ooh,
Step back. Look at that.
That's a heat check.
Oh, yeah.
right
That's
there.
that was like that.
Discover.com/
And that's over R.J. Barrett, who the Duke and Carolina rivalry is real, and they got a chance to play against each other just last year. So he sized him up for that one.
I'm going to call him Jacoby so much he's going to start calling himself Jacoby. That's what
Shot
I'm going
that
to do.
from Highland
That's
Park,
what I'm going to do.
Illinois.
Next, the Pistons are in trouble, Jalen Rose.
Hit the brakes.
Oh, wow. We're hitting the brakes on this. They lost to the Heat in the road. And, you know, they were missing Blake and Derrick Rose.
Say that again?
They're missing Blake and Derrick Rose.
Oh, okay.
But I'm starting to look at this team and the expectations they had and the record they have and say, we're going to make some changes down the road.
What conference are they playing?
Eastern Conference.
Which one?
Eastern, to the East, my brother, to the East.
Exactly. And you know the teams that make the 7th and 8th spot are going to be hovering around 500. I anticipate that they're going to be better than that. No Blake Griffin. He had just returned. I was at his game when he returned.
Yep.
Also, Derrick Rose had just returned in that game. Once you have your full collection of players, not even including Reggie Jackson, that's going to be one of the better teams in the East.
Okay, we'll see. Next, Tristan Thompson did something that you absolutely have to see.
Hit the brakes.
Let's just check in on Mr. Thompson. It was a good game between the Cavs and the Sixers, and he hit a 3 earlier in the game. He actually hit a couple. Look, he's feeling himself. Look at this. All of a sudden, he's a stretch 5, right? And then this happened. Look at it. Behind the back. You got him. You got him 7 seconds left. Behind the back. Spin move. Give him a spin move. Oh, and then, yeah. Jalen Rose, what do you think about point guard Tristan?
I like that he improved in his range. So what happens in today's dynamic of basketball, you can become a dinosaur as an energy player. You know how I always talk about people are in the game because of their skill, dribble, pass, and shoot bigs, or their will, run, jump, dunk, block shots, catch lobs. He fell in the latter category. So if he wants to have longevity in the game, he got to be able to make jump shots. And so I appreciate the fact that John Beeline got him shooting and
Are we really going to
threes.
do this without clowning him for this possession? Maybe he thought the shot clock was worse, but the behind the back is one
He
thing.
living his best
That's the
life.
first thing he shouldn't do. And then the spin move is the second thing he shouldn't do. And then pull up from the logo.
The guard's like, serious, dog.
Yeah, Steph Curry's
It's a
like,
5-point
that's
game,
too deep for me,
2 minutes
man.
to go in the game.
Yeah.
But the difference
This game
is,
was close. This game was
correct.
close.
That's where I was going.
This
It
game
was a
came down to
one-
last possession.
Correct.
Oh, Tristan. Shout out to you, though, for making 2 threes. Jalen, there's a very important cause, and we don't do this very often, but we need to use our platform to give this cause some light. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
If it's important to you,
It's important to me.
It's important to me. Hit the
There's a
brakes.
cat named Quilty. And Quilty is in a rescue shelter in Houston.
Oh, okay.
And he's in a room with about a dozen other cats. And what Quilty does after everybody leaves, tries to free everybody. Jumps up, hits the handle on the door, lets the cats free, gives them the freedom that they need. Stretch their legs, be cats, free cats. What happened? They looked at the tapes, they found out it was Quilty, and now Quilty's in solitary confinement. Quilty's in solitary. Free Quilty! Free Quilty! Free Quilty! Free Quilty! Free Quilty! Free Quilty! Jalen, what are we gonna do? What can we do now to free Quilty?
So my brother David Jacoby has firsthand experience of writing sternly worded electronic mails. This causes from not only an electronic mail, but a letter.
Handwritten letter? I'm gonna write a handwritten letter about Quilty.
with a stamp.
We need the Quilty movement to spread because Quilty deserves to be free. Look
Sternly
at this is a
worded
cat that can
letter.
open doors.
And you ready for this? We're gonna make sure they get the letter. You know how? We're gonna UPS it.
Oh, overnight FedEx.
We're gonna make
I'm
sure
gonna get a tracking
that
number
they
on
get
that.
it.
I'm gonna get a
Yes.
tracking number on
Yes.
that. Free Quilty. Free Quilty. Free Quilty. Free Quilty. Free Quilty. Free Quilty. Jalen, I have information for you that's gonna blow your mind. Lance Stevens been replaced. Jokic has been replaced.
You're so
Jacoby Brissett has been replaced.
You're so easy.
I'm gonna tell you who my new favorite athlete is right after. Thank you for tuning in to Jalen Jacoby on ESPN2, but the experience does not stop there. We have a podcast version of the show that's not just a version of the TV show. We always have exclusive content for the podcast. Make sure you subscribe and download to that, and follow us on these various social networks. Follow Jalen Rose on Instagram. He goes live all the time. You can get exclusive content from this very room every single day. Jalen, earlier this week, Dame Lillard went to the press and he had some very nice things to say about Portland and the organization. Here's what Dame had to say, quote, "I don't care what the trend is. Players are taking control of the power and the influence they have. I don't have an issue with it because there's been times in the league that players didn't have that and players were taken advantage of and put in tough situations. So I understand it, but I play for a great organization. I play for a great coach. I love where I live. I have a great situation." Well, that feeling, I agree Dame feels, but that has not translated to wins on the basketball floor so far this season. And last night, the Blazers lost to the Kings, and they are now 4-7. a worse record than those very Kings. Jalen, this team always ends up in the top at the end of the year, but this year, what is the problem so far with the Blazers?
Well, first and foremost, they're missing Nurkic.
Yep.
And if you're going to have Mama's Boys backcourt with Dame and CJ, who are terrific, one of the best in the game, you need the big fella that's going to balance it off, and he's able to do that. He's out for an extended period of time. When you bring in Whiteside, who's dealt with some injuries, you need him to be dominant. He's had a couple of good games. I like how they brought along Anthony Simons. He's playing well.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a time to panic. I've talked about this for years. Portland and Indiana. Every time you look down at the standings, national media never talk about those teams, but they're always in a good spot. Last year, the Portland Trailblazers were in the Western Conference Finals.
But can I just bring up something? They've lost 5 of 6. Like, that's a tough go. Jalen, when you lose 5 of 6, morale starts to go down. People like us start talking about it. Like, can't that hurt a little bit?
Here's where morale doesn't go down. Dame showed 2 things in his quote. Leadership. Mm-hmm. I'm not now going to go to the press and say, we don't have enough to help us win. Mm-hmm. What would I say if he said that? That's why we got you.
Of course.
The other thing is maturity. I love where I am, whether we've lost 5 or 6 or whether we're in the Western Conference Finals. This is not a time to panic. The Portland Trailblazers.
Bogdanovich is my guy.
Yes.
We all pick people that we love, and he had 25 last night and 10 assists. He's one of my guys. But Jalen, I've only got one guy now. Forget Bogdanovich. Forget
What?
Lance Stevenson.
What?
Forget Jurkic.
What?
Forget Jacoby Brissett.
What?
Forget Jacoby
What?
I've got a favorite athlete that we're going to adopt on this program. A gentleman by the name of Nas Carter.
Say that again for the people.
Nas Carter
For the
plays for
people in the back.
Washington. And watch what Nas Carter did yesterday. Yagang! And you know why I love Nas Carter so much? My favorite MC, one of my top 3.
Hov.
Jay-Z, that's his nephew right there. You remember him talking about his nephew and all the old tracks? Well, there he is right there. And what's his first name? Nas. So he's Hov and Nas, and he's got Jay-Z's blood running through his veins. He's doing that. Where can people find the latest on Nas Carter?
Here.
Right here on J&J.
Right here. We're going to make sure, just like we've done with LaMelo Ball and Jacoby adopting that topic, that Nas Carter continues to get coverage. If you want to get the latest and the greatest about how he's balling and dunking on people and silencing them the way he did last night,
if he goes 1 for 10, what are we showing?
The one he made.
The one he made. That's how we get down. We're loyal. Nas Carter, you're our guy. We'll be back tomorrow on ESPN 2 at 2.